All right, greetings everyone. My name is Nathan Lawrence, Senior Planner with the City of Westminster. With me tonight to present on the Greenlawn Townhomes project is Mike Tollefson. Mike, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah, thanks, Nathan. Once again, my name is Mike Tollefson, and this is the Greenlawn Townhomes meeting. Nathan, can you go to the next slide, please? So, itinerary, just a quick overview, the welcoming, and then we'll go over the question and comment format, and then we'll go through our presentation. So we'll give a little overview of the project, go over the PDP site plan, a rendered site plan, some architectural elevations, and then some of the exceptions we're trying to get approved. And then Nathan will take it away from there. And then afterwards, any questions or comments, feel free to ask them and try to answer them the best we can. Next slide, please.
Great, thanks, Mike. So again, my name is Nathan. I'm the project planner for this project outside. So the main purpose of this meeting is really to gather your input. We're at a very early phase in the development entitlement process. So this is the time to make changes and to produce a better product for the city and the developer. If you have any questions or comments while we're going through our presentation, please type it into the question box. You should see it on the right side of your screen, really at any time, and we'll go through those at the end of the presentation. Please note, if you're logged into a cell phone or a tablet, it will not allow you to speak or be on screen, but you can still enter your questions into the chat box. If you have any technical problems asking a question, please feel free to email me. I'll have my information at the end of the presentation. If you have any questions, then I can follow up with you promptly. Once the presentation is over, or the staff and applicant portion is over, then we'll go through your questions. We will read aloud your name, and know that all the questions and answers will be included in a YouTube video. This is all being recorded and will be posted. So we can make efficient use of everyone's time tonight. Please keep all of your questions and comments related to tonight's project. If you have any other questions on any other project or really anything, you can email me directly. If you'd like to state any question or comment orally, please just type into the question box that you would like to speak, and we will get to your questions after we go. We will allow you to unmute and speak after we've gone through all of the typed questions. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Mike. Let me change slides.
Thank you. So to begin, I'm just going to kind of introduce the project team. So ownership is Brady Hyde with Pierce LLC. I myself am the project manager on this one. And then our architect is David Burton. He's accompanied by Rachel Fox and Kendall Goodman. Our civil engineer on this project is Mitchell Shear. Landscape architect is Jim Shipton, and survey is Cameron Watson, all with Point Consulting. Next slide, please. So here is a facility map of our proposed project. Green box here is our site. It's a 2.5 acre parcel. And then I kind of provide some of the adjacent uses. So to our east is a storage facility. And then directly south and west are apartments. Across 92nd Avenue is some open space, but majority is single family homes. Zoomed out a bit here just to show some of the different areas here. So we have commercial spaces and also downtown Westminster, all within about a half mile from the site. Next slide, please. Project overview. So as I said, it's a 2.5 acre site and we're proposing a higher density townhome complex. So this will consist of 6 buildings containing 40 units. There will be 2 8-unit buildings, 2 7-unit and 2 5-units, which you'll be seeing coming up in this presentation. Some of the amenities we're proposing are rooftop decks, garage parking, community area. They'll have a patio area, grills, fire pit, and also nearby the site is access to a trail system. Next slide, please. So what you're seeing here is our PDP site plan, and this is more of a high-level conceptual plan given just the general intent of what we're doing. And so in the boxed area, that's the proposed area for our building pods, if you were. And for our site, we'll have 2 accesses, one off of Pierce Street. That'll be a right in, right out, and then one off of West 91st Court. That'll be full access movement. And so there'll be a private drive going through the site, kind of allowing access from both sides, as I said. And then in terms of the pedestrian access, they'll be able to get to it from West 92nd Avenue. And then we're also going to be having connections on either side of the site. On the south side, we have our detention pond, and then there will be an amenity area. And then in this next site plan, you'll be seeing a bit more detail on what we're proposing. Next slide, please. So here's a rendering of what we're proposing. As you can see on the north side, that's our 2 8-unit buildings. Trying to show what the roof decks will look like. It'll have enough space for tables and planters and so on. And then on the south side are the 2 7-units. And then we'll have 2 smaller 5-unit buildings on the east and west. All of these units will have their own garages. I tried to show 2 cars on the south 7-unit building just to give you an idea of what that would look like. And then with that, you can see our 32-foot private drive and then some accesses coming along there. There will be guest parking that's provided on the southeast corner. And then that abuts our amenity area. And as I said, there'll be a patio with a fireplace, some grills, seating, and kind of separating the turf from the patio will be a bioswale that directs the parking runoff into the detention pond. Other notable things are that most of the units will have direct access from the public sidewalks. As you can see on the north, east, and west, residents will be able to come in off 92nd, come through, and then further to the south, more access there. Other notable things include, let's see here. No, that covers most of it. It's kind of a broad scale. As Nathan said, we're kind of early in the design process and we're working on getting some of the finer details going in. And so these next slides will take you to the architecture. David, if you'd like to cover that.
Sure, I'll jump in. Again, my name is David Burton. I'm with Real Architecture. I have Rachel Fox and Ken Goodman on with me as well. So these are contemporary townhome buildings. Each unit has a 2-car garage access from the private driveway. The main level will also have a study/bedroom and a bathroom. The second level will be mostly living, dining, and kitchen. There's also a powder bath on that second level. The third level will have 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. We have a mix of masonry, siding, and some metal on these buildings. And is there another slide coming? Is there do we have the color elevations available? Nope, this is more elevation. So this is oh, there we go. The color, here's an example of some of the materials we're proposing on the project. Again, brick and some metal and some stucco and siding on this. So the units are all 2 and 3 bedroom and 3.5 bath. Most of them have roof decks. The end units, we step down, so they have bigger patios on the second and third level, but no roof decks on them. Let's see what else I can say. We've done quite a few townhome buildings over the years, a few other projects in Westminster. And this is really an urban style of architecture that's kind of meant to abut the street. With the zoning, we are bringing some of the buildings pretty close to the street. We do have a landscape buffer and city sidewalk as well. So if there's any other questions, I'm not sure if there's any other slides of the buildings themselves, the exterior. I don't think there are. I'll hand it back over to you, Mike.
Yeah. If we can do the next slide, there we go. So this is the final slide here, PUD exceptions. So these are some of the items we're trying to get approved through council, kind of exceptions from what we're allowed to do right now, but because of how this site is kind of a unique situation. And so I'll kind of go through, top to bottom what we're doing. So one of the first exceptions is 35-foot landscape area is located inside required setbacks are not required. So with this one, just because, we're a smaller infill site, only 2.5 acres, this type of requirement is geared towards some of the larger greenfield sites. And just with, if we made it happen with 3 to 5 foot buffers, it would kind of hinder what we could do on site. Second one is earth berm is not required inside of setback areas. This goes hand in hand with the first one. We want this to be more of a urban feel, a bit more closer connection with the right of way and everything, and the berms would kind of break up that. Next one is landscape median is not required at the major entrance to this project. So, the small scale and urban infill nature of this doesn't justify the landscape median as it would, as I said, the larger greenfield project. 10A2, 3, and 4 are all kind of in the same category. It goes with setbacks. So from the north side, we're trying to ask for a reduction to 25 feet from 75 feet. And as I said, we're trying to create a more intimate relationship between the project and encourage people to walk more, do that kind of transportation. Setback from the east property line, we're trying to reduce from 50 feet to 20 feet. And we're doing this because the property south of us, we're trying to align with it, and it would just kind of mesh better that way. Same with the west, we're trying to align it with the existing residential and make everything fit on our site. 10D, minimum parking lot setback from interior property line reduced from 6 feet to 15 feet. So the parking lot setback from interior lines to the south will be reduced because we're trying to maximize the open space in that area. And we're also trying to match that development to the south again. They have a similar layout and seems to work well for them. And then one of our new ones we're asking for is garage size reduction from the 20 feet and wide and 22 feet long to the 18 feet 2 and the 18 feet 2 long. We're doing this just because it's becoming more of a standard in the urbanized areas. Everything's kind of a bit more condensed, and we're trying to, encourage different means of transportation. This size will still fit most vehicles, and, it helps us fit more things on the site. And then our final one is land 1A1. And so the minimum overall site landscaping will be reduced to 35% from 40. And this is just because, we're trying to fit the units on it, and we got the private drive coming through, and right now we're at about 35.5%, so we're close. And so in order to kind of meet this, we'll still landscape to the full 40% with plants and trees. And yeah, that's ends up all our exceptions.
Great, thank you, Mike. And I guess before we advance, I'd just like to give everybody a little bit of history on these exceptions. Most of these were already approved back in 2019 with a similar project at a similar density. Well, I guess it was a similar density, but it was basically 5 8-plex units. So 40 units again, same number of units, but in a stacked flat configuration. So really, we're not bringing buildings any closer to the street than what was approved there. There've been a few tweaks in the setbacks just because of the interior setbacks, just because it's a different project type, but the outside envelope hasn't really been increased. And so really we're sort of, the main purpose of this PDP, and I'll go through process a bit more, is really just to add the townhouse land use. Currently, it's only allowed to have a multifamily apartments, as well as single family and other uses. So really just adding this extra use, but then we have to sort of clean up the exceptions to fit with the new project type. All right, so I'll just go quickly through the development review process here. This sort of graphic sort of helps lay it out. The applicant has submitted both their preliminary development plan application and their official development plan application. The PDP is what you saw, that one simple site plan slide. It really just sets up the exceptions from our standards, lays out land uses, and really high-level requirements. The actual meat of the development and details is included in the official development plan, and that's the document that is used to produce the building permit and civil sets. So we're at the first review of both of those has been finished, and that's why we are here tonight speaking with you and getting your input at the neighborhood meeting. After we've gotten your input, we'll incorporate that going forward and do as many reviews as we need to ensure that the applications comply with our various city standards. The PDP is the document that will go forward then to Planning Commission and then to City Council, who will vote to decide to approve the addition of the townhouse land use, as well as the different exceptions from our standards. If they do approve it, then the ODP will be able to be approved administratively once all of our rules and regs are complied with. Once that's finished, then the civil construction drawings and building permit sets can be submitted, and we will be able to review those. And once all those are reviewed and approved, then the project can actually be constructed. So when we're looking at the preliminary development plan, or PDP, we're really looking at a set of criteria that are codified for whether or not staff will recommend to the Planning Commission and City Council if they should approve the applicant's application. Here's sort of a summary of those requirements, just sort of simplified here. Things that we're looking for when we do our evaluation, that again will produce a memo, and that'll go to Planning Commission and Council for their consideration. In that memo, we will analyze the land use conformance with the comprehensive plan. The comp plan for this site is R18, or residential up to 18 units per acre. This project sits at about 16, so it would fit with that. And the land uses for townhouse is one that is allowed. We will look for the application of sound planning. As far as site design and architecture, again, we'll be looking at our standards and applying those and doing an evaluation of the exceptions from code requirements that have been identified. We'll also look at compatibility with the surrounding projects and make sure that there aren't any adverse impacts to these existing uses or any future land uses that might come down the road. We'll also be doing a careful analysis of the design of the transportation infrastructure. The applicant is required to submit a traffic a letter that'll analyze how many trips will be added into our system, and if any infrastructure upgrades are triggered by those additional trips. And then we'll include any, we'll ensure that any standards that are included in the PDP, setbacks, building height, things like that are included there, that will again frame what can be approved on the ODP or the official development plan. Okay, well, that's the end of our presentation. We'll turn it over to questions and comments that are in the chat box, and then again, if you have any questions, feel free to enter them now. If you want to speak verbally, I think it's a pretty small group tonight. So feel free to type that in and we can unmute you if you're comfortable. If not, again, you can just type those to me. And if you don't feel comfortable asking questions in this forum, please email me. Again, I'll have my email address at the end. You can also find it on our website. So yeah, with that, I'll ask John McConnell, our planning manager, to see if there's any questions that have been entered in thus far.
Yes, we have a few questions and a few comments. The first question is, what are the building heights?
So the building heights are just under 40 feet. They're about 39.5, David, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that's correct. And the maximum height, that's of the units with the roof deck area, if I'm not mistaken. And that's to the dog house above the roof deck. So these are generally 3-story buildings with an accessible roof. So most of the buildings will be about 30 feet high, and then the top of the dog house will be up to just below 40.
All right, thank you. The next is a comment. The city no longer uses the term urban, so please stop using it. The next
Noted.
is another comment. Garage size is a major issue. Downsizing should not be allowed. The next is a question. Who is paying for the infrastructure?
As of right now, I believe our team is.
Okay. Next question is.
Sorry, I can add a little bit there too. Yeah, the infrastructure will be paid for by the applicant. And there's actually going to be, and this is sort of a good compromise where there's some overhead electrical lines. And I'm sorry, I realized I didn't have my camera on. I completely forgot. Hello, everybody. Sorry, I'm managing a lot of screens here and I forgot to click there. But the city is actually, there's some overhead power lines on this side of a 92nd. And so we have a general practice to underground those whenever it's feasible. So we'll be using actually some of our funds to sort of do that. And in exchange, this project will be providing some upgraded street lighting along that entire frontage. And so I think that was a pretty good compromise and makes sense for how things will actually be built there. So that's one sort of nuance that I think is a good compromise and will produce a much cleaner and upgraded streetscape for this block.
Okay, the next question is, what is the zoning for this property? So Nathan, you might want to speak to the comprehensive plan designation as well as the zoning.
Yeah, sure. So it's zone PUD, which is planned unit development. So it's what a lot of our city is zoned, especially north of around 88th. So it requires the submittal of a PDP and ODP as we've sort of talked through tonight. And it's sort of a classification that allows some flexibility in design to accommodate higher quality projects. The land uses and density then are dictated by our comprehensive plan. And as I mentioned, this is deemed R18, which will allow some residential uses up to 18 units per acre. Those uses include townhouses, apartments, down to single family homes. So that's what it's designated, and this type of project would comply.
Okay, thank you. What will the price be? How many will be affordable?
Brady, I don't know if you'd be able to speak to that one. Not fully aware of the pricing at this time.
We can't hear you guys. Jacob?
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Okay. So this is Brady. I was saying we haven't done a market analysis yet. We normally get a few more steps down the road before we do so, just with the market changing as quickly as it does. So I would guess in mid sixes to mid sevens, depending on finishes, but I'm uncertain of that. We're not actively engaged in the Westminster market, I guess, routinely. So we'll take it to we'll take it, get some market analysis when the timing is appropriate.
But it's fair to say that this is not will not have affordable units, or you're not applying for any affordable tax credits or anything like that.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next question or comment is fairly lengthy, so bear with me here. This is yet another high-density development along 97th and 88th. We live along 92nd. We live along 92nd. There has been an increase in traffic, noise, air pollution, and traffic in the area. We worked with the city for a 10-foot fence to reduce noise many years ago. It is insufficient with all the increased traffic and housing in the area. We're concerned that there is not enough green areas included with this new proposed project. This is a small space that you're trying to squeeze into the space, and certainly is not fair to the other areas that have complied with green areas, entry landscaping, etc. I don't think you should squeeze in this many homes, less homes, and follow the setbacks and green area rules. The main access appears to be 92nd again. Our concern is with more dense housing is more traffic. And
yeah, no, and that's a serious issue. I spoke with this gentleman, I believe, whoever it was, I'm not getting the names.
Hey, Nathan, I'm sorry, that sentence was cut off, so I apologize. Let me finish that one sentence. Our concerns with more dense housing is more traffic noise for our home that backs onto 92nd as well, higher crime rates in the area. That was it.
Okay. Yeah, no, this is a serious issue. I spoke with this gentleman about this yesterday, and I think once we get some information on this, I think I'd ask for an email. I'm happy to sort of take this forward. It seems like a very hazardous scenario. And I know that we're looking at 92nd to make some improvements in the short term and long term. And so this is valuable feedback, and we certainly want to do everything that we can to make things safer there. I think this project is adding 40 units, so yes, it will add more traffic, probably a small amount in comparison to what is there already, but it's still more. So we'll be sure that traffic safety is enhanced with this project. I know that one example, there's currently 3 eastbound lanes on 92nd. One of them just runs for the length of this one block. And so it really creates a sort of hazardous scenario where people can kind of cut around and cut back in. And so as a part of this project, we'll be, and this is in consultation with the applicant and our traffic engineering team, we'll be keeping a right turn lane onto Pierce, but we'll be taking out sort of that portion from about mid-block back toward the opposite street. And so that'll sort of create a better opportunity for more trees and greenery, but also take out what is sort of just encourages sort of race car driving, as we've probably seen in that spot. So again, it's just a small improvement, but we're always looking to sort of make those enhancements. But on the larger corridor, it's certainly something that I'll be taking forward and seeing if we can work with that neighborhood to make things better and safer.
All right, the next question is, how will the snow and trash removal be handled? So where's your snow storage and your trash locations?
So for trash, we have that on the east and west sides of the drives. It'll kind of be a straight in access. Yeah, if you go to the site plan, that'd be great. So just southeast and southwest of the 270 unit buildings, there will be an enclosure on either side. That way, trash companies can come straight in, grab the trash. You know, there's also other areas, you know, straight in from, you know, 91st or Pierce where we could, you know, push that into the landscape. So we have the room for it. We're not too concerned about that, but it's definitely something we can look into more.
Yeah, and can you guys speak
All right,
to
thank you.
trash as
Next
well?
question is, what heights are
Sorry, John, did you hear me all right?
No, I'm sorry. I didn't realize the question wasn't fully answered. Go ahead, Nathan.
Oh yeah, I was just going to ask Mike on the project team about trash and how trash is handled on site.
So yeah, on site, as I said, we will have 2 trash enclosures. I suppose you can't see my cursor, but southeast, we have one area where people will be able to bring their bags, and then there'll be another one on the southwest on the inner curb of the private drive.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, mine cut out. So if you answered that twice, I apologize.
Oh, no worries.
All right. The next question is, what is the height that is allowed by the city? Not what the height is, that is proposed, but what does the city allow?
Very good question. In the multifamily standards, I need to look that up, but I know that this complies because we've looked at that. They are, I'm sorry, what's the height of the building? So there was just a couple feet shy of the maximum, I believe.
I believe the max height is 40 and the top of our dog houses are just below that.
Yeah.
But most of the building, you know, is the parapet wall that faces the street, which is about 35 feet.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Yeah, so it is 40-foot max, and this is lower than that.
All right. Next question is, who is building the units?
Units. Brady, who do we have as developer on this one? Or have we not engaged that yet?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
So the vertical construction has not been awarded yet. Again, we'll need to go a little bit further down this path before we can do so. So we're in talks with a couple local builders out there.
All right. The next question is, will this be an HOA, and what will the dues be?
Yes, there will be an HOA of sorts. We anticipate that to be, but we haven't gotten into any budgets as of yet.
All right. Next question is, how many acre feet of water are being asked for? I'll take a stab at answering that. That's not information that the applicant would know particularly. If the applicant's development plan gets approved and they move forward to building permit, they would pay their tap fees at that point for all the permits and the units that they are planning to build according to this plan. The water supply in Westminster is planned alongside of the comprehensive plan. So every comprehensive plan land use designation has a water supply assumption. In some cases, that's referred to a budget or an allocation, but we always want to make sure that when we use those terms, we don't give the public the impression that there's water reserved for any given property. Water is only secured upon the issuance of a building permit and the payment of a tap fee. but the comprehensive plan land use designation for this is R18, and our Public Works and Utilities Department has correlated its water supply planning with this land use designation, and provided that this development complies with the dwelling unit density assumptions, then the water supply is there. And I think I answered that next question, and that's, do we have that in the city water budget? So yes, the water assumptions for R18 would handle this development. Next question is, will you be asking for a metro district?
No, we will not be.
Okay. Right, that's the last question I see so far, so there may be others. As they start to populate, I'll continue. Will these be for rent or will they be for sale?
These will be for sale.
All right, we have a pause right now. We'll wait and see if there are other questions. Here's one. How many units are ADA accessible?
I can jump in on that one. So
Yeah.
the residences in the property will meet the Federal Fair Housing Act, which dictates what happens inside the units. The ADA does not ever go into interior of single-family residential units. All units will be compliant with the ADA for the exterior spaces, walkways, and community property, but all units also will be in compliance with the Federal Fair Housing Act for the interior of the units.
Okay. And are there any ADA or handicap accessible parking spaces?
Yes, we'll have one space provided on the site.
The citizen questions, just one? Is that in compliance with ADA standards?
Yes, so minus the required garage parking, we're required to have 14 guest parking spaces, and one of those needs to be in ADA compliance. So yeah, we've met that.
Yeah, and that'll be verified in our review going forward. So there'll be, it'll likely be a van, I believe a van accessible site, I think is required, right? So yeah, and if anything more is required, we'll take a look at that, but sounds like Mike's got it.
Okay, a comment on that is, are you kidding me?
Nope.
Those are the rules and regulations, and they will be followed.
All right, any other questions, comments?
All right. Again, I think we've heard all the questions and comments. If you have any more, feel free to type them in. I'm just going to go through some contact info. And again, this whole presentation will be uploaded to a YouTube. And you can see it at this link. You can also find it quite easily on our webpage. Again, if you have any issues finding anything, then feel free to email me. I'm the second one there. Again, my name is Nathan, the project planner, and Lawrence at cityofwestminster.us. If you have any issues on that, you can also follow the project on our project status webpage. We're just going to be uploading that with updated information after this meeting. It's a long URL, but you can get there just by going to the community development page on the City of Westminster site. And you also see Mike's contact information up there at the top. If you have any questions about architecture or anything that's related to this project, then I'm sure that Mike will be happy to answer those.
So there were just a few more comments, and as we begin to get close to closing. So the next comment is, so the rules should mean no exceptions. So I think that's the citizens' way of saying you should follow all the rules without asking for exceptions. Question, can we have a dog park instead? I guess that, this is privately owned property, and they have the owner has rights in accordance with the comprehensive plan to pursue development application here. They're under no obligation to build a public park, if that's what we're talking about. And then another comment, like trying to find information today for this meeting. And we apologize that we did not get the information uploaded to the website in a timely manner as we always try to do, and that did not happen for this project. Today we got that information up, and we apologize for any inconvenience for not having that up sooner. But it is up now, and we are committed to keep that information updated moving forward. Let's see if there's anything else. Way too many unanswered questions to move this forward. Just as a reminder to the community, the city requires this neighborhood meeting to take place after the very first review that we do. Typically, projects that are reviewed in our system take at least 2 reviews, most average 3, 4, and sometimes more reviews. I want to stress that this is early on in the review process, and that the first iteration will require some revisions, and we'll review this at least one or maybe many more times before we're ready to move this forward to public hearing. And 1 hour before meeting's not timely. Yes, we apologize again. We did not have this information up. Again, we are very committed to being transparent and putting information on the website in a timely manner, and moving forward, we will make sure we keep this updated.
And I'll also comment that a mailed notice is what we're required to send out, and that was sent out according to our rules and statutes to folks that live within 500 feet. So I think what John's referencing is the additional information that we have up on our website. And again, apologies on that. That's really just some sort of background info, and you've really gotten a deeper dive tonight in this presentation than the sort of 2 sheets of information on there. And so we'll again get all of that updated and put up there. And but really, if you want some more details on the project, I think this PowerPoint and presentation is going to give you a lot more info. And if you have any other questions at all, please feel free to email me or Mike or both of us.
And so just a couple more questions or comments. So when will the next neighborhood meeting take place? The city only requires 1 neighborhood meeting for projects that are require approval by the Planning Commission or City Council. The next opportunity for public comment would be when the public hearings are scheduled for Planning Commission, City Council. We don't have those dates arranged yet. We're probably a ways off from that. We'll have to get through the development review process first. But when that happens, we'll follow the notification procedures in the city code to advertise that meeting. And that'll be the next 2 opportunities that the public would have to make comments on this. And yes, the 500 feet is a code requirement. We do have the ability to ask that the applicant extend that notification where there are odd boundaries, such as large swaths of open spaces and other natural features or man-made features that make it sensible to extend that boundary. In this case, we only impose the minimum 500 feet as those conditions really didn't exist. And the next comment is this is a matter for everyone that wants to be involved. Yes. And so when we move this to public hearing, this is obviously everybody's chance to get involved and comment to our appointed and elected officials.
Right. Anything else, John, in the queue?
Not at the moment.
Okay. Any last questions, or otherwise I'll begin closing out the meeting. Okay.
How many people are watching? Let me see if I can. Jennifer, can you confirm that? I don't want to make an incorrect statement.
So I can confirm that we have 2 attendees with us now in our virtual meeting. I am not in charge of the webcast onto our YouTube channel. That is done by a separate individual, and I don't have that.
Okay, so Jennifer's audio is breaking up a bit, but what Jennifer was stating is that there's 2 people that are tuned into the GoTo webinar meeting, but this is also broadcast on our YouTube channel, and we're not we don't have the information to as to the number of people who may be watching on YouTube right now, but we can confirm that 2 people are attending the GoTo webinar.
Okay. There's no additional questions or comments. And again, feel free to follow up directly with me. If you have any other follow-up questions, again, we're early in the process, so we haven't, nothing's finalized. This is the exact time that we want to hear your input on the project. So again, feel free to email me or call me. Again, this has been recorded and will be uploaded. So if you want to go through it again, that presentation will be online within a few days. If there are no other questions or comments, John?
Let's see. I think that's it.
Okay. Well, again, thank you all for attending and adding your input. It's really important that we hear all of this. We will be producing a summary as well that'll be uploaded to our website as well. That'll kind of go through all the questions, comments, and answers here. So yeah. So again, thanks for coming. Thank you to the applicant team for coming to answer these questions as well. Mike, if you want to say your farewells, thank you to everybody.
Yeah, thanks for attending, and yeah, have a good evening.
Thank you. And thank you everyone again.